The woke socialists continue to take over academia as Liverpool University replaced the name of the Gladstone Hall with a communist. Another day and another woke news from our campuses, this time University of Liverpool. A while ago, these guys decided to go against William Gladstone, one of our greatest prime ministers in the history of this country, who was pro-freedom and at the end fought against the idea of slavery and a number of problems that we had. He said this is just one of the worst things that happened to us in this country. And he was a classical liberal. He was actually the father of a lot of classical liberal ideas that we now embrace, but from the right of the political spectrum, not the left. The Liberal Democrats are no longer liberal. The so-called Labour Party and Socialists are not really progressive, they are regressive. And so it's actually been embraced by the Conservative side. But the issue I have here is that, firstly, they went against Gladstone, one of my heroes, the guy who, as I said, decided to go against the ideas that, again, as he said, one of the worst things happened in this country, although, as we know, that most of the problems occurred abroad because of the empire. Like many other empires, that was unfortunately the norm at the time. But we actually fought against it, and we got rid of it, and then others followed. This time, not only they got rid of the name of the Gladstone Hall, they decided to replace it. They used the left-wing students in Liverpool to actually vote to replace it with a communist. Yes, Dorothy Kuya, who was a member of the Communist Party of Great Britain. And she actually died in 2013 at the age of 81. She was also the General Secretary of the National Assembly of Women. And as I said, a lifelong member and supporter of the communists in this country. She is now the new name of this hall, the accommodation hall that they have at University of Liverpool. Really? I mean, if you want to replace anyone, if you want to wipe out history, if you want to erase history, because that's how you fix problems that we have. Also, firstly, don't go after people like Gladstone. Secondly, at least if you want to replace them with someone who was good, not someone who actually hated not just the West, but basic aspects of humanity. Communists don't understand how humanity actually worked and how you have to understand that freedom is the only way that humans can function in the West. But they've decided to replace him with Dorothy. I mean, are you kidding me? But yeah, this is the world we live in now, and this is the fight that we have on our hands to make sure that this woke stuff is not really your traditional left versus right or conservatism versus socialism. It's much worse than that, because you've got the coalition of communists and the liberal lefties, and then you've got the counterculture on the other hand, and everybody's divided. There's no unity anymore, and these guys are making everything worse. But on this channel, we'll keep you guys posted, because we have to expose these people for what they truly are. Now, we have received a number of questions from the members of our channel. Thank you, members. Let's go to Maggie. Maggie says, "Hello, Maya. Hope you are well. My question is regarding these illegal migrants. Why are they still pandering with them? Are we waiting for this government to do something when the trouble starts with them? Also, how on earth can we afford all of these illegals when small businesses are struggling? And yes, I'm fed up with Pretty and Boris, and the French are dumping them all over, and the border force are actually completely incompetent. I get it. Absolutely understand. The problem is, Maggie, is that right now, the priority for this government is not really that, because we got the elections coming up in a few days and in a couple of days. And right now, the focus is for the government to tackle the left, the Labour Party. And guess what happens? They go more towards the left. So right now, the battle is Hartlepool and the mayoral campaigns, and they have to make sure that they take more votes from the Labour Party rather than focusing. So they think that they have to alienate the other side, because they think the people who are concerned when it comes to migration, especially illegal migration, are right-wing. They still haven't learned their lesson since 2016 and the Brexit campaign, that it's not a right-wing thing. It's ordinary people and the silent majority who are just concerned, because this is not really about generally being pro or against migration. The majority of people are still pro-migration in terms of as long as you control the numbers and we know who's coming in, and we know if we get the talent and if we get the right people coming in, absolutely fine. No problem. But if you go, if you cross the line and if you lose control of the numbers and who's coming in, especially illegals, because they're not going through the right process, you have to do something about it. Right now, the focus is not on that. after the elections might be some sort of campaign against it. Again, and on this channel, people like me have been trying to make sure we raise awareness because we don't really hear much about the illegal migration on BBC or Sky News, really. So we'll keep you posted. Next question, Fast Cars. Do you think, like I think, that Labour and the media are trying to force Boris to resign with these ridiculous allegations, which most people believe is way down on the list of issues people care about? Yes. Well, of course, the Labour Party are trying to do this. The issue is they are going after Boris for the wrong reasons. If you want to go against Boris or his government, there have been a number of mistakes over the last year or so. You could expose them instead of saying, oh, did Boris get his curtain from John Lewis or another shop? I don't really care. And if there's actual corruption, I care about that. If there's neglect, then yes, absolutely. But not really on these issues. The media are just complacent. They try, and the press as well, they try to go with what sells from their perspective, and most of the time they fail. Next question we have from Natalia, one of our regular members. Thank you for the question. Hi Maya, could you update us on where things are with Northern Ireland? Are they now able to get deliveries from mainland UK territories? So what the government and Brandon Lewis, the Secretary of State, have done, they decided to send him up there and deal with a lot of complaints and a lot of loud complaints to keep things quiet. You don't really see much reporting anymore on the mainstream media until things kick off again. It's not fixed. The grace period could be extended by the government when it comes to the Brexit trade deal, but it's not completely over. You're going to see more issues over the next couple of months, and when obviously now that the Brexit trade deal has been ratified by the European Union. Right, we have Vince Mitchell who says, if Sir Keir Starmer is forced out by the extreme left of the party, who do you think they'll replace him with? I think it's unlikely that if he gets forced out, it won't be the hard left doing it. It will actually just be Labour being Labour, classic, who just be sick and tired of him, just like Ed Miliband. The issue is that all the current options that they have are not really hard left, the ones who are credible. You have Andy Burnham, who wants to stand, and we know he wants to stand. And whether you like it or not, he's a good performer. He's a bit of a drama queen, but he will be a good option for the Labour Party. Not that I'm giving tips to them. He's not the best guy. His ideas and some of his political decisions have been completely bonkers, but people like him might be options. There are also some sensible names. Not going to happen, because that's not how the Labour Party choose their leaders. They don't go with sensible options. David says, I hope you're right, Maya. With the Labour Party losing credibility at the rate that it is, do you think that the mainstream media will wake up and start to realise that the British public is not interested in tittle-tattle of sleaze? No. Have you met the mainstream media? Absolutely not. They are going with a lot of stories. If you haven't seen, make sure to check out my last video earlier today, 5:45, where I listed a number of examples of stories from Labour politicians and a couple of Lib Dem ones who were involved in corruption and scandals. Not really reported, many of them, on the mainstream media. They're not going to learn their lessons, David. They're not going to learn their lessons. Right. And this one's a good question because, Stevie, it's a big question. I'll leave it here for the rest of you to actually read. But what is your views on the censorship happening against some of the conservative YouTube channels? Is this a case of the algorithm isn't very good and YouTube don't help as they are not being transparent on the reason why channels are suspended? Or do you think that there's something more sinister going on? I hear a lot of chatter on the channels I watch on YouTube about censorship. Not much evidence of the specific reason why. It's playing into the right-wing type narrative and becoming an echo chamber in its own right. Algorithms don't have a political viewpoint, and those doing the second-line human moderation in a developing country won't have much grasp. Yes, so this is actually interesting. So what Steve says, so if you have been following this channel, you know that we have also been facing some issues from this site. On the one hand, yes, algorithm on its own, the system, the robots, the automatic system, it isn't biased in that sense on a daily basis. You give them commands and then you just leave them to be, because there are not a lot of channels on YouTube. You can't monitor them on a daily basis, case by case. But what they have done, and they have quite been open about it, since January, they've decided to basically change the algorithm to go towards more entertainment and more big channels, your big brands, your CNNs and Fox Newses and all the other big channels who are big brands who are on YouTube, your classic music channels, instead of actually going with independent ones, and particularly political news. So we have been hit by that as well. And at times there are, yes, human intervention who are being target a number of bigger political channels. And it's happened to Sargon of Akkad and a number of others in the past. Now, we are currently fighting this, but on this channel, we do have a big plan hopefully coming in, and I'll keep you guys posted in the next couple of weeks to make sure we fight back, because we're not going to give up. And the big tech and the big media can't bring us down, because we have you guys, and you guys rely on this channel, and I rely on your support to continue. So we're going to have to work together. So be patient. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll probably have some sort of update about what we're going to do together to fight back. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again to all the members who send us their questions. If you want to become a member, support the channel, and get a lot in return, check out the link in the description or find the join button next to subscribe. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.